Hello viewers, this is Sentai from School Review, bringing you a new podcast from my subject called The Super Sentai Review. And like always, I'm going to speak very loudly, very clearly, and very slowly, in case you don't understand me. Also, I'll try to do my best not to be too hard during the audio podcast recording as well, not to cause any audio feedback as well. And finally, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will contain to adult language. Once again, if you're under 18, this audio podcast recording will contain to adult language. If you're under 18. Now, if you're over 18, that means you're good to watch this audio podcast recording. So, anyway, with this and everything else I'm playing, let's get to the latest episode of Zenkaiger. So, basically, this episode starts off like this. We see, it starts off at the Chosen Dynasty Palace. We see Professor Aizen working on his computer in his lab, and he was kind of frustrated when whatever he was working on, he made him so frustrated, he decided to, you know what, I'm going to take a spa day. So, basically, he decided to go to a spa, go take a spa day, to go relax himself. So basically, once Professor Aizen left his lab, Stacy snuck into his lab and into Aizen's lab and accessed Aizen's computer, and he found a holographic image of Kaido's parents being held somewhere in a stasis sleep somewhere. So basically, once Stacy accessed Professor Aizen's computer, he found a holographic image of Kaido's parents being in a stasis sleep somewhere, being held somewhere. But the computer did not reveal where they're being held. But we know that we find out that Kaido's parents. We know that Kaido's parents. We know that Kaido's parents are alive, but they're just in a stasis sleep. But we don't know where they're being held in the stasis sleep somewhere. So basically, Stacy was like, Stacy said, I knew they looked just like him. So anyway, I know they looked just like him. Anyway, meanwhile, back at Kaido's grandma's shop, we see Kaido and the rest of the Zenkaigers, running Kaido's grandma's shop. And everything was normal until this guy started to with a butterfly net, just came running into the shop, kept on saying, I'm hunting beetles, I'm hunting rocks, I'm hunting beetles, I'm hunting rhino beetles, and just go around swinging this butterfly net, like a madman. And that's when Kaido's grandma came back, for she came back for doing running an errand, and that's when the guy with the butterfly net accidentally hit Kaido over the head with the butterfly net, and the guy kept on saying, I finally got the rhinoceros beetle. And Kaido was like, what the hell is going on with this dude? And so basically, it turns out this dude is a regular customer that comes into the shop, and then Kaido never saw him act like this. So basically, it turns out the reason why he's acting like this is because a new monster. Because of a new monster, this monster is a rhino beetle. So the rhino beetle monster is forcing every human in Kairoi to think that they're on a rhino beetle hunt. So basically, basically one of the major hobbies in Japan is catching rhino beetles. So basically, the monster hits a human or a Kairoi with a laser beam, and that person or Kairoi thinks they're in a big forest looking for rhino beetles. So anyway, Kairoi showed up and started to morphed up and started to fight the rhino beetle monster. So basically everything was going well until the rhino beetle used his powers to make Kaido and the others, just like everybody else, in his delusion that in the delusion that that Kaido and the others were on a rhino beetle hunt. So basically, Kaido and others fall victim to the rhino beetle's power, and they're thinking they're on a rhino beetle hunt somewhere in the forest, but that's not true. This is just an illusion. So basically, Kaido and others fall victims to the rhino beetle's delusion powers. So basically, two Kaidos showed up and it showed up and started to fight the Rhino Beetle monster. But Kikai, the Rhino Beetle tried to use tried to use his illusion powers to hit Kikai, but Kikai was too quick and too clever. So basically, the Rhino Beetle was like, you know what? I'm just going to, as he fell like several times to try to get Zenkaiger under his illusion powers, he decided to just retreat for now. And Zenkaiger was like, what the hell is going on with you guys? And Kaido and others thinking that that Zenkaiger is a big leader, this head trying to catch Zenkaiger with their butterfly nets and whatnot. So anyway, meanwhile, things are not looking up. We're not looking good. It was not looking good for the rest of the Zenkaiger. So anyway, meanwhile, Colonel Bastion was talking to King Borka and King Borka's pet bird Gene about the rhino beetle's progress. So basically, King Borka said. At this rate, these people are under the illusion that the people are under this whole big illusion by the rhino beetle. So basically, maybe we could add these people, these humans and other Kairoids to be slaves to work around the palace. So basically, but we're gonna need to, just in case, just in case, if they do, we just want to make sure that this illusion is foolproof. So basically, King Boca want the people in Cairo that under the illusion of the rhino beetle. King Boca want to make the into slaves for the palace, but he's not sure that the rhino beetle's illusion power isn't foolproof. So basically, I want you to make sure that nobody's able to break free of the rhino beetle's illusion. So basically, that's what Colonel Bastion did. So anyway, meanwhile, So basically, Takin, Kaido's robot bird tried to smack Kaido and the rest of the Zenkaiger out of it, but it didn't work, and they thought that Takin was a big flying rhino beetle, and they tried, and Kaido and a bunch of others, and the rest of the Zenkaiger to take after Sashine, and Sashine had no choice but to run back, to fly back to Kaido's grandma, back at Kaido's grandma's, store, at Kaido's grandma's store. So anyway, meanwhile, back at the Professor Aizen's lab, so it turns out that Stacy Caesar was able to communicate, through Professor Aizen's computer. He was able to talk to Kaido's parents in their state of sleep, but they were still asleep. So basically, the computer allowed Stacy Caesar to talk to them, even though Kaido's parents were still asleep in their station sleep. So he tried everything to wake them up. He tried saying Kaido's his Ranger catchphrase, but nothing worked, and that's when he decided to leave. So basically that's when Stacy Caesar decided to leave, when he tried everything to wake Kaido's parents up from their state sleep, but Stacy Caesar decided to leave before Professor Aiken came back from his little spa there. So basically, once Stacy sees Louis, all of a sudden we see Kaido and Kaido's parents woke up from their sleep, and woke up from their sleep after Stacy Caesar left. So anyway, meanwhile, Sasha tells Kaido's grandma about the situation, about what happened to Kaido and others, and Kaido's grandma say, "Don't worry, Sasha, that Kaido and the others will snap out eventually," and that's when all of a sudden we see Sasha's eyes start to glow, and he went down to the secret laboratory under the store and started to work on a secret project. So basically, Sashi's eyes start to glow. Seems like he got some new data information that he was working on. Meanwhile, back on the Kaido spaceship, Richie Kaiser and his brothers and sister, looking like they were just waiting for the Beta Monster to show up. Modeling from their spaceship to waiting for the Beta Monster to show up, and that's when Ricky said that Beatles. That's when Ricky said that Beatles love sap, so basically love maple syrup, so basically love sap, so basically Ricky suggested to Zox, aka Two Cousins, that Beatles love sap, so basically since maple syrup is sap, you can use sap to lure the Lionel Beetle Monster out of hiding. So basically, Two Cars took Ricky's advice and went to the biggest building and used the power of the Aqua gear to summon Aqua Killer's Pin Sword to make a giant to draw a big pile of sap on the biggest building in the city and waited for the monster to be the monster to show up. Meanwhile, Flint went to Carter's grandma's shop, and Sasha was glad to see Flint showed up, and Sasha said that I need your help. So basically, Flint tried to help Sasha out with his project. So anyway, after a few minutes, the Lionel Beetle Monster showed up. He smelled the smelled the sap on the building and showed up, and Two Cousins started to fight the Lionel Beetle. But Color Bashin showed up as well. So basically, that's what Color Bashin. Oh, it's been a while since we last fought, you pirate. Since the battle, and Zox said that, since the last time I showed up at the Trojan Tinto dimension. So basically, and Kurt Bashin, you fled that day. So basically, but this time I'm gonna take care of you. So basically, Zox was fighting. Not only Zox was fighting the Lionel Beetle Monster, he was also fighting Kurt Bashin as well. So anyway, meanwhile, Kaido back where the other Zenkaigers were. Kaido managed to have a flashback about his parents, going Lionel Beetle hunting, and he managed to break free from the Lionel Beetle's losing powers. But he tried to snap the others out of it, but it didn't work. So basically, Kaido is now basically a flashback memory of his parents, taking Lionel Beetle go hunting, he was able to break himself free from the Wonder Beetle's losing power. So basically, once he is free, he tried to set the others free, but it didn't work. So basically, he went to go help Kikai, but so basically he showed up and went to go help Kikai to fight the Wonder Beetle monster and curve back in. So basically, it seems like things were not going very well. So were not going very well for Kikai and just was not going very well to Kaido and Zoc, and that's when Sashin and Flint showed up with a new gear called the Zen Kaijin gear. So basically, the Zenkaiger gear looks like a dinosaur version, like a dinosaur combination of B-Rex from Time Ranger and Dragon Caesar from Zoo Ranger. So basically, this thing looks like a kind of like this weird hybrid version mix of B-Rex from Time Ranger and Dragon Caesar from Zoo Ranger. So basically, kind of activated the gear and transformed into a new form. So basically, this new form is based off Dragon Caesar's battle mode, without the Mastodon and Saber-Tooth Tiger and Triceratops, so basically, again, it's sort of like a battleized armor form of Dragon Caesar's, fighting mode. So basically, like, imagine Dragon Zord's fighting mode as a battleizer without the Mastodon, Triceratops, and Saber-Tooth Tiger or attached to it. So anyway, basically, Kaido used the new form and his new weapons. Basically, the dragon staff, to take down the white monster, to take down the Rhino Beetle monster, and basically, and the others, everybody else was free from the Rhino Beetle's losing power. So basically, Kikai was impressed at Kaido's new power-up form. So anyway, Kurt Bastion summoned a giant foot soldier that dissolved the power of the chosen gear of the Rhino Beetle monster, and that giant foot soldier became a giant Rhino Beetle monster. So basically, the other Zenkaiger showed up, combating the Megazord. Zenkaiger summoned his Megazord and working together as a team, they was able to destroy the giant Rhino Beetle monster and save the day. So later that night, they all celebrated the victory and celebrated their new gear and celebrated the debut of their new gear, the Kaijin gear. Celebrated the new debut of their new gear that Sashin and the Flint made together. But turns out that Flint also made a copy of the Zenkaiger gear for Zoc as well. So basically, there are two Zenkaiger gears, one for Kaido, one for Zoc. So basically, Zoc has his own. So basically, so Kaido and Zoc had their both Kaijin gears now. So anyway, and the episode ended with Kaido said that, it was like, looking at his parents, and wondering how that Sashin, that Kaido was wondering how Sashin got the data to make the Titan gear, but he figured that maybe his parents must have somehow activated the data and data stored inside Sashin to make the Titan gear somehow. But and that's in the episode ending with Kaido staring at a picture of his parents, and this how the episode ended. So anyway, this was not a bad episode. So basically, we got a battleizer form. So basically, Kaido just has a battleizer form of Dragon Caesar, or the Dragon Sword fighting mode as a battleizer super form. So basically, it was awesome. So anyway, what do you guys think about this episode? Was it good? Was it bad? Or was it just okay? Please let me know with the comments below this podcast. So anyway, like always, it's Sentai Michael from School View. So, 1.